Hello and welcome back. So my arm is in a sling because I'm really trying to not move it. I'm in some pain right now, so yeah. But welcome back. If you hear me making noises or making faces, it's just because I feel yeah. I'm not having a fun time right now, but it's okay. God is good, and that's it. Today I just want to talk about the importance of getting godly counsel as a Christian, and like a godly therapist or Christian therapy, Christian counseling, whatever you want to call it. Whether you're paying for it, whether you're paying for out of pocket, whether you are going through your insurance, whether you're finding it in your church or through your pastor or through your pastor's wife, or through family, friends, whomever. I never really realized the importance of Christian therapy or Christian counseling until probably, oh sorry, I saw someone running, this year / when I started therapy. I have always gone to like regular therapists and regular counseling, and I really felt like it was just kind of like it would feel good in the beginning, and because it's like, okay, I'm able to like get this out of me, right? This like pent up frustration and emotion. You're able to talk, and they're able to like validate your feelings and kind of make you not feel so crazy, because sometimes when you vent to people, or when you talk to someone about what you're going through and they're not really affirming you and your feelings, or what's the word, affirming you, and I forget the other word, but they're kind of making it seem as though your feelings are insignificant, or they just don't matter, or maybe you shouldn't be feeling those feelings, or making you feel bad. And that happens to me a lot in my life, where I open up to someone and people just, I feel bad. I feel this shame for expressing myself in that way, for expressing myself and my feelings and my emotions, and then I end up just feeling like a burden to people, or I don't really feel heard or feel listened to. A lot of times in my life, I normally am the one that's listening, and I feel like I prefer that sometimes, but I feel like sometimes when I do reach out to people, I don't really feel like I get the same respect back. So when I went to just regular counseling, regular therapy, it was so nice to really have my feelings validated. That's what I meant to say. My feelings validated, and like reassuring me that the feelings that I'm feeling are normal. Like, they're normal. In fact, I probably should be feeling them. This is a normal response to the trauma or whatever I've been through, kind of making you feel a little bit less crazy, right? Because when you're around people that don't do that, it kind of makes you feel like, oh my gosh, am I overreacting? And it makes you kind of just start to second guess your own thoughts and your own feelings. So I really thought it was beneficial, but after some time, I felt like I kept hitting a wall with therapy. It was like, okay, so now what? It just felt like a pattern where it's like, okay, I'm just coming here and I'm just talking to you about my problems, but you're not really giving me, and maybe, I don't know, I'm not trying to say anything bad. I do think that like some of them definitely gave me some good advice and some good tools. The one really I still think about the stuff that she says today. Like different things, different tools that, or exercises, I guess, excuse me, that she would give me. I still think about them sometimes. I'm like, wow, that was like, that, it like still makes me think, you know? So I'm not saying that it's all bad, but I just felt like it was just kind of me going there, and I'm like venting, and then I felt like I also couldn't really talk about like the God aspect of it, because, you know, they didn't necessarily believe in God, or I guess believe in God the way that I believe in God. So, you know, our opinions would differ, and, you know, it's like you can't really help me in these areas that I have questions or concerns with, because you don't necessarily believe the same thing that I believe. So you're going to have a different opinion, and that's fine if you have a different opinion, but I want my, you know, my Bible, my biblical advice that is given to me, I want it to be biblically based, you know? I don't want to just have this facade of Jesus or this facade of God, or have my own personal view of God. I want to know him for who he actually is, and not who people just say he is, or who people think he is, or who, you know, he is to you. And it's important to have that personal relationship, of course. Like, you know, Jesus is to me this, Jesus is to me that, but like, is it like based off of the Bible, or are we just kind of creating, like, is it based off of the Bible and his true character, or are we just creating this whole thing in our head that this is who he is when he's really not this? Or, you know what I mean? So for me, it's very important to get that, and I felt like I wasn't getting that. So I kind of felt like I kept hitting a wall there, because, you know, I'm a Christian, and that's a big part of my life. It is a daily thing. I talk to God literally every single day. I if I'm not reading my Bible every day, I'm like, I do a devotional, or I read some kind of book, or I listen to a devotional, like, you know. But all throughout the day, especially now more than ever, I've been trying to just incorporate and talk to God all the time. So, you know, it's a very important foundation in my life. So like I said, I just kept feeling like I was hitting a wall when I would go to non-Christian therapy, because I'm like, okay, well, I feel like I can only talk to you about certain things, certain areas, and I feel like a lot of my issues kind of revolve around my faith. And not that I'm like struggling to believe, or not that I'm, you know, whatever. It's just sometimes with different traumas that I've been through in my life, it really trickles into, I don't want to say trickles into, it can sometimes, I don't know what another word is for that, but consume me. And then it really affects my relationship with God. And so I would go there, and then I'd be like, oh, whatever, I feel like I'm maxed out, you know? So I would just kind of stop. I would just kind of stop going. And I'm like, maybe I don't need therapy, you know, whatever. Maybe I'll be fine, whatever, da-da-da. And then, you know, one day I was listening to, I think I've talked about this before, I can't remember, but I was listening to the Help My Unbelief podcast. So they are a podcast on YouTube, and now they're actually going into a different direction. Now they're doing testimonies now. But what they used to do, they just started the testimonies, but what they used to do was they would have different people from different beliefs. So they would have pagan witches, they would have Satanists, they would have atheists, agnostics, all different kinds of, or struggling believers, all different kinds of people from different walks of life and faiths and belief systems. And they're Christians themselves, the people that run Help My Unbelief. And they would come on there and they would just kind of like have a conversation to get to, to understand the way that other people's brains work and other people's belief systems work and what they are based upon. And I thought it was really interesting. And this one girl, I can't pinpoint exactly what she said, but I do remember. Sorry, I do remember. Why do people keep stopping there? I do remember in one of the episodes, she was a believer, but she was really struggling in her faith. I believe her mom had died. Sorry, my nose. She just had gone through a bunch of different struggles, and she was just like really having these things like bothering her, like questions, and the way that she felt, I could relate to the way that she felt on a deep level. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember being in that moment and being like, oh, I think I need therapy. Oh, I think because this is not right. I can't keep living my life like this. I can't keep living my life with the clouded judgment of who God really is. And I'm still, working towards getting to that place of like really feeling it, that like, so I know it's more than just a feeling, and but it's like, but just really experiencing that, you know what I mean? Sorry, my shoulder hurts now. The next day I just was like, oh, excuse me. Sorry, I can't edit this, so I'm leaving all the yawns and mistakes in. But so the next day I called immediately. I was actually eyeing this place up for a little bit, but I just really wasn't. I was like, yeah, maybe we'll see how it goes. And the next day I was like, no, you need to call. So I called and I made the appointment, and I think I've had like 3 sessions so far. It's been very beneficial because you're not so limited on what you can talk about. Like, yes, you can go to a non-Christian therapist and talk about God, and you can vent about, your frustrations or your questions or whatever. But, it's like, and it's nothing against them. It's just we share 2 different mindsets and 2 different beliefs, right? We base our lives off of 2 different things. And I'd rather go to someone with these questions and these concerns and these comments that I have, to someone that we have that in common. We share that same foundation in our lives. It's so important. And if anyone has been struggling or has been like, thinking like, oh, do I need Christian therapy? Do I not? Should I go? Should I not? Or if they're scared, it can be kind of scary. It can be kind of worrisome because you're talking to somebody that you don't know. But I definitely would say, and also you might be experiencing different feelings that you've never experienced before. You might be, you're going to have to dig up your past, and some feelings might resurface, or some feelings might surface because you never actually processed those feelings that are inside of you, that you have been, what's the word? I forget the word, but just pushing down deep into your subconscious. And yeah, I was actually talking, I met this guy, and he was saying how he was in this program. I thought it was so interesting that he said this. I'm not gonna give out like any details or anything, but I just thought it was so interesting that he was aware of this, because some people aren't aware of this. And he was saying how, you know, he was in this program and how something happened, and he was talking about, you know, trauma that he had from his childhood. And he's like, here I am at this age, and I'm still feeling feelings. Things are still arising out of me, you know, from when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. And I feel like we don't really understand how important our childhood plays a part into our lives. And especially when you grew up with parents where mental health and all things surrounding that, it wasn't really common to talk about with them, or it wasn't really commonly talked about to them, and they're not really aware of that kind of stuff, or aware of how their childhood really deeply affected them. So then, you know, when they grow up, you know, they haven't dealt with their own childhood trauma or their own traumas in life. You know, it's not just childhood trauma, it's adult trauma. But I believe a lot of times it does start as a child, because that is your foundation. You know, that's kind of what you base your life off of. Not that you can't change, it's very hard to change sometimes in the way that you think, and the renewing of your mind is extremely difficult, because, you know, when you grow up a certain way and you're used to these habits and you're used to living life a certain way, it's kind of like really difficult to veer off that path, because that's something that's really comfortable to you. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times we don't really understand how important it is. You know, parents don't understand that their actions affect their children so deeply. And that's why it has always been very important. I don't have kids, I'm not married, but if I ever did have kids, if I ever did get married, it has always been something that's so important to me, is to make sure that whoever I did marry would be not only a good husband, but an amazing father. And then, you know, and I know people are always like, to give my kid the best life that I can give it, but it's so much more than that. It just is. I think just because of the way that I grew up, and I know the effects of how it feels to be in an unsafe environment for the majority of your life. I know the effects of that. I want to create a safe space for my kids to be able to express themselves, to be able to voice, like, I'm not talking about gentle parenting. That's something completely different. Or whatever the parents do these days, where like their kids are like extremely terrible, and they have no manners at all. Like, I'm not talking about that. But I do think it's very important to be able to allow your kids to express themselves. I do think it's important to make sure your kids know that you can be a safe space for them. I don't want my kids to ever feel like they're going to be in danger, or I want them to fear me, but I don't want them to be afraid of me. You know what I mean? Like, fear as in respect. I'm not trying to have them walk all over me and, you know, whatever. I'm not saying to not discipline your kids. I believe in discipline, but I also believe, like I said, for them to be able to express themselves, for them to be safe, to feel safe around you, and to know that they are always loved with you, even when you're disciplining them, that it's literally because you love them. It's the same thing when, you know, in the Bible, I believe it's in Hebrews, when it talks about God's discipline towards us. And I think it says, like, I wish I had my Bible. I don't even know where it is. Is it in my house? Oh no, it's right there. my phone is propped up on my Bible. LOL. I was like, I thought I brought it with me. Anyways, but I'm just paraphrasing. I think it says like, you are an illegitimate child of God if he does not discipline you. And you know, God's discipline is to steer us in the right direction. It's not for to harm us. It is for our own good, and it's out of his own love for us. That's the same thing that I would want to give to my kids. Is like, I'm disciplining you because I love you. I don't want you to go on this path of life. You know, yeah, I don't want you to go down different paths of life, because I want you to live a good life and a healthy and godly, happy life. But anyways, we don't really understand the effects of, you know, our childhood sometimes. And sometimes we can just kind of go throughout life just wandering, or really unaware of how the things that we have gone through as kids have really affected our lives as adults. And it's something that I'm really passionate about, I think, because I'm going through it currently as an adult. And yeah, it's something that I've always been big into. So that is why, to me, like I said, Christian counseling and Christian therapy in general, even if you're not a Christian, or you don't even need to go to therapy. You can literally just find a good person in your church, or a good, wise friend if you're not a Christian. Okay, you know, you don't need to necessarily go to therapy and pay for it. If you have a person in your life that loves you, listens to you, validates your feelings, love that. But sometimes it is better, even if you do have those people in your life, sometimes it is better to go outside of that and, you know, get that from somewhere else. But be careful on who you take counsel from, and who you allow to give you advice in your life. So yeah, I don't know, I just felt really passionate about that. I've been really enjoying it, and I think it's important to like really set goals and set challenges. Like, that's something that I really want to bring up to my counselor, is I want her to really challenge me, like set challenges for the week or for 2 weeks. Like if I'm talking about something that has been challenging me, or I'm venting about something, I want her to be like, okay, well, since we talked about this week, I want you to make an effort to do this, you know, for the rest of this week, or every day this week, do this. Like, or if the Holy Spirit like leads her to like just place something on her heart to be like, I want you to challenge her to do this or that, or to do that, you know what I mean? And then I can come back and be like, okay, well, I did this, or I didn't do this, or I did this, but you know what I mean? But it's just great to have someone to kind of hold you accountable, but to be encouraging, and hopefully, if you are blessed enough to find a really great person, they, you know, don't discourage you, whether that's, you know, a person in your personal life, or it's an actual therapist. Sometimes you might actually have to go through a couple therapists or counselors in order to get the right one. But I pray that it doesn't discourage you if you have to go through 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, counselors in order to find a person that actually fits your personality and what you're going through, and specializes in what you're going through. So yeah, that's my little bit of encouragement for today. And I just wanted to say, today's Memorial Day, so I just wanted to say how grateful I am. Excuse me, I'm so thankful to live in America, number one, where, you know, we take a lot of things for granted. I take a lot of things for granted. And as Americans, I believe that we take a lot of things for granted. But it's so important to just take a step back and realize how good we have it, how privileged we are. And I'm so unbelievably thankful that I can go and read my Bible. I can go to church. I can go to the store. There's a convenience store. There's a whole bunch of stores, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. I don't even have to get out of my car to get food. Like, anyways, whatever. We are able to have so much here, and I'm so thankful, but I'm so grateful for the people that have fought and either risked their lives or have literally risked their lives till death or to death for this country, and for not only their families but for strangers. Like, they don't even know me, and they risk their lives, so I am extremely grateful and very thankful for each and every person, and each and every person that's in the Army currently, not just people that have already died, but for the people that are alive right now, because it's a really uncertain situation of like when you're going to get deployed and if you're even going to come. It's extremely unnerving, and I just am so grateful for these people. So I just wanted to say thank you. And yeah, like I said, that's my encouragement. Hopefully, you give it a try. And like I said, if you don't find someone immediately, pray about it, and keep trying, because it is very worth it. I started my journey of therapy back in like 2021, and it's 24, so it's been like I would say like almost 4 years. Was it 2020 or 21? It might have been 2020. I don't know, somewhere on that brink. It's all a blur. But around that time. So 3 or 4 years that, I feel like I've finally found someone. And yeah, so don't give up. And yeah, but like I said, you can also go to other people. Just be careful of who you're getting your counsel from. It doesn't necessarily have to look, just because this is my journey, or just because you're hearing someone else's journey of counseling and therapy, doesn't mean that your journey has to necessarily look exactly like that. You can go to outside resources and stuff. So yeah, anyways, all right, enjoy your day. Adios.